Set up a macOS agent for Jenkins. Recently, I needed to add a new macOS-based agent to one of my Jenkins servers. And as I was going through that process, I said to myself, you know what? This would make a great video. Here's today's starting point. I've got a Jenkins LTS controller version 2.332.1. And let's go ahead and connect up our agent. So we'll go to Build Executor Status. I'm going to click on New Node. We give the name macOS. You'll see why in a few moments. Permanent agent, create. My remote root directory is going to be /users, dpope, and I'm going to call this Big Sur Jenkins agent. Okay. The label I'm going to leave blank because the label I'm going to be using is the name of the instance, macOS, which is fine. I'm going to connect up using SSH. So I'll be SSHing from my Jenkins controller over to my Mac-based instance. Get an IP address for that, 168.1.3. I need to set up a credential. So it's going to be username with password. I'm going to enter my credential. And the ID is going to be, I'll just call it macOS. Let's go ahead and flip this over to macOS. I'm going to change my host key down to non-verifying and click on Save. So as this is starting up, let's watch the log. We can see that it's opening up a connection to this agent. And we can see here that it's connected up and looking okay. So let's go back here to our node list. And we see our built-in node, which is our controller. I have 0 executors configured on that. And if we look over here on the left-hand side, we see macOS with 1 idle connection. However, on this Mac instance that I have multiple versions of Java running. If we take a look at the version of Java that is running my controller, we can see under System Information that we are running Java 11.0.14.1. But if we go take a look at our controller is currently running Java 17. So what I don't want is I don't want to have an 11-based controller with a 17-based agent. I want to keep my agent Java version to be the same as my controller Java version. Now, fortunately, I have multiple versions of Java on this Mac instance. I have 17, I have 11, and I have 8. So let's go ahead and switch over the configuration for this agent configuration to 11. And the way that I'm going to do that is I go back into the agent configuration and I go down to Advanced. So here is where we defined the agent. When I click on Advanced, now what I want to do is I want to put in my path down to and including Java. If we take a look at JavaPath, this is the JavaPath used to start the JVM. And you'll notice the example here takes you all the way down through bin Java, so you need to explicitly state where the Java binary is. So in my case, my JavaPath is going to be, once I copy it over, library Java, Java virtual machines, Timron 11, contents home bin Java. So let's go ahead and click on Save. Let's disconnect. We'll say yes. And then let's go ahead and launch the agent. And now we're connected and online, so we'll click back over to macOS. And let's click on System Information. And here we can see right now that we're running Java 11.0.14.1, the same as the version of Java that's running our controller. So that was one of the first things that I needed to do. I needed to go ahead and get my agent Java version in line with my controller version. That was the first problem that I hit. The second problem was a little more confusing. So let's take a look at Finder. I have a Finder window here. I'm in my Downloads directory and I have a hello text. There's nothing special about the hello text other than it just says hello. And then I also have a directory here that's history to where I have other files stored. So a lightweight directory. Let's go and set up a test job. We'll say new item. I'll just call it test. Pipeline. Click OK. I have the example pipeline that I'm going to use here. Let me copy that from my notes. We'll go down here and let's take a look at it. What we have is a pipeline agent label macOS. Remember, that's what we named our agent. So the label is going to be the same as the name since I didn't add any extra labels. And I'm going to call two steps. I'm going to do an ls-l for my downloads directory. Just list the files in my downloads directory. And the second call within that steps section is just to cat out that hello text, which we just looked at. So let's go ahead and click on Save and click on Build Now. And once this starts up, we're going to see that it fails. And we're going to see that it's failing because the operation is not permitted. What happened in recent versions of macOS is there are security and privacy settings that are on by default. And since we are connecting via SSH from our controller into this Mac instance, everything that I was doing just for a moment ago in Finder was in interactive mode. So it knew who I was, it had all my profiles, everything is fine. But that same thing doesn't happen when we SSH into the box, like what we're doing with the agent. And just for grins, let's go ahead and grab a shell that actually happens to be on the Mac. So I'm going to SSH to myself. Let's see what happens here. So I'm going to SSH using my ID at my IP address. I'm going to log in. If I can log in correctly, here we go. There we go. Now let's go ahead and do the same command I was just trying to do. You would think it would work, but in reality, the operation isn't permitted. So how do we resolve this? Let's go over to security and privacy. So I'm going to look up security and privacy. Once that loads up, let's go down to full disk access. We're going to unlock this. And once that's unlocked, we want to select sshd-keygen-wrapper. Let's go back over to our shell real quick. Let's run that same ls command. And now we can see the files that exist within our downloads directory. Let's go back over to our controller and let's run this job one more time. When we click on Build Now, what we're going to see with build number 2 is that it was successful. And since the ls was successful, when we cat, we get the contents of our hello.txt. If you have any questions or comments, you can reach out to us on Twitter at CloudBees. If this video was helpful to you, give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to CloudBees TV yet, why not? Take a moment, click on that subscribe button, and then ring that bell, and you'll be notified anytime there's new content available on CloudBees TV. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next video.